Hello, I'm Beth McDonald for Vero News, and I'm here today with Joe Scozzari. He is running for the Sebastian City Council. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Joe, what is your position on the tax abatement referendum that would give the city another tool to attract new businesses to Sebastian?
It's a great idea. Well, we need a tax abatement for new business, but I'd like, I think we should have asked some questions or added some things before we threw it up there. If they have an open policy with this tax abatement proposal, as far as, what about businesses that we have? We still have businesses here. We have businesses here that may want to grow. Will they be entitled to the tax abatement? How will we decide who gets a tax abatement and for what purpose, or for what reason do they get it? Do they get it by the number of employees they employ? Do they get it by the size of the area that they rent or lease or own? We still haven't figured that out yet. So a tax abatement's a great idea. It's just a matter of putting together who's going to get it. Is it going to benefit special interests and nonprofits, which is what our city's been doing. We need it to benefit everybody, including the businesses that are in that want to expand.
All right. And what is your vision for the Sebastian riverfront area, and what steps do you think need to be taken?
My vision is, I really do see it as a great economic engine, but the steps that I would take to make it happen would not be the same steps that our present council is looking. They're looking to give that whole riverfront to a nonprofit organization who has not disclosed any business plan, none at all. They have not addressed, questions have been asked. They're opening a restaurant. Will the restaurant be a nonprofit restaurant, or will it be a for-profit restaurant? And if it is nonprofit, if they make the whole riverfront nonprofit, what profit does it give the city? I think the riverfront should be bought and used by, if the city does buy those areas, that it should be a private effort as well as city. They should have a mutual agreement where we don't rent it for $1 a year or lease it for $1 a year. We need to bring more private entrepreneurs in to take care of that riverfront. The CRA money can be used much more wisely elsewhere in the city.
All right. And what is your position on the community redevelopment area expenditure allocations, and in terms of how much money is spent in business incentives and infrastructure improvements? Maybe you just answered that with the last question.
Well, no, not really. I didn't. That's a totally separate question. How much money should be spent on the infrastructure should be a great deal. But it should also be expanded. They need to expand that area. It's for blighted and slum communities is basically what that money is for. And that CRA district should be expanded, not just from the riverfront or east of the railroad tracks and only on the triangle, but it should be expanded and offered to any business that's on 512. Everybody puts money into their taxes, and I've seen money go to nonprofits in our city that don't pay taxes. They don't pay into CRA district. And I think that that's unfair for the people that do pay taxes. So we need to readdress our entire CRA agency. It's just not fitting right. We just spent $48,000 on billboards up on 95. That is not in the CRA district. And that's pie-in-the-eye spending with CRA money. Should it be used to lure people into Sebastian to come to our Walmart and our Home Depot and Captain Hiram's and Earl's? Those are our 4 main buys in Sebastian. And I think those signs were put up prematurely and the money's been wasted.
All right. Joe, some of your competitors have said that you are a convicted felon and you don't have any right to run for the Sebastian City Council. And I'd like to give you the opportunity to tell your story about that you were 17 years old and made a very serious mistake, and I'd like to give you that opportunity.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm a convicted felon. I was stupid. I was a 17-year-old kid, a father, left alone with a child, and it's not that what I did was not right. There's no justification for it, but I did not enter a home. I did not invade anybody's home. What I did was I entered a vacant barn that they were taking down, and I stole some saddles. I still stole them. I took the saddles and with a bunch of other people, and I served my time. I did 6 months of intermittent weekends I had to go in jail on Friday night at 5 o'clock, and I came out of jail on Monday morning at 5 a.m. and I went to work and continued my pony ride business and, you know, managed to get through it without going on welfare. And I managed to become stronger because the things I wanted to do in my life, I couldn't do. So I had to reach outside the box. I had to think every other angle that I could to make a living honestly and to, you know, just raise a family. And I managed to do that. And I think that's what makes me a good candidate, that I've struggled and I've become aware of different ways to bring money in. And I, you know, had to save money as well, and I pulled it off. I'm proud of myself.
How did it affect your life in terms of, you know, trying to get a job and work and everything? You mentioned that you were 50 years old now, and this, of course, occurred when you were 17. And even teaching young people about your experience and
I have.
Be valuable.
I have taught young people about my experience. I always mentor younger children that I see that are going to the young children that are going to the dark side, I'll call it. And I explain to them that this follows you for the rest of your life. When you're a felon forever. You can have it taken off your record, but you know what? The stigma is always there. As I'm 50 years old today, it happened when I was 17 years old, and you know what? I'm still a felon. There's nothing I can do to get away from that. But I felt that the people should know that, and I let the people know all about it. It's something that's important. They should know that I made the mistakes, and I learned a lot from those mistakes. Other people just haven't gotten caught, you know. We can't, nobody, everybody has a skeleton in that closet. Everybody's done things wrong. No matter who they say they are, they've done things against the law. If you have 2 drinks and you get in your car, you've broken the law, you know, and you could possibly be a felon if you got pulled over and you were convicted of it. So anybody could be a felon. And
now, if I could ask you, I'll digress a little and ask you about the Sebastian City Council. The Sebastian City Council has a little reputation for some exciting meetings, and I wanted to know if you'd like to touch on that.
It's, you know, the Sebastian City Council, a lot of times the meetings do get exciting, and they get exciting because a lot of the people that are involved in the city that are not on the special interest crew want to be heard, and we're not entitled to be heard. We're constantly interrupted, and sometimes, and mainly villainized. Anybody that doesn't go along with the current council tends to be villainized, and I don't know how they pull it off, but they do pull it off. They'll villainize you through the city. They'll make up rumors, and I've had rumors set out about my wife and myself where they claimed and this is city council personnel, claimed that my whole endeavor with the clam bake was false. It was all false. Everything was false. That's all they kept saying. He's a liar. He's a liar. Yet everything I mentioned, from the pollution on the park when they ran the clam bake, right up to there being actions taken by those that were running the festivity that were not quite right. The proof in what I said is it remains, and it stands strong. When I said they were contaminating the park, what they do, when they dumped out, they ran out. A couple of families that were involved that worked at City Hall, they ran out. They removed themselves from the issue. They're no longer part of the clam bake, and they went quietly. They never produced any documents, They produced a piece of paper that said that they did this and that and this and that, but at the bottom of that thing, that piece of paper that was read by Warren Dill, their attorney, it stated perfectly clear that there were no documents to substantiate anything on these claims, that it was mainly 3-party information and information that was told, that they really kept poor records.
Now, when you're talking about special interests, what type of groups are you talking about? What type of special interest groups?
Special interest. We're looking at every dollar we spend in our city from that CRA fund has been going to nonprofit organizations. I'm not for nonprofits. We need nonprofits. But when a nonprofit gets its legs up and gets to standing on its feet, that nonprofit should be able to stand on its feet and stop taking from the citizenry, stop taking from our tax dollars. Those tax dollars in the CRA can be spent much more wisely.